get this going. My name is Ricky Mendoza, and this is episode 2 of the Anti-Show. Thank you very much for watching, by the way. This is a really a privilege, an honor for you to be watching this right now. Really. All right, today's show. We have a very esteemed poet, a very acclaimed poet. Has nothing to do with his greatness, but he's been published. And we talk about that during the show. And for those of you watching, this is a show about learning, all right? It's a punk rock show about learning, a different kind of learning, because we learn about stuff and about people and about what people do to really better themselves, to be a better version of themselves. And Rod is a shining example of this, all right? Because he is one of the poets that I admire, but not only because he's done really great poetry, but also because he's been the champion behind one of the longest running weekly open mic series in San Antonio, Texas, all right? And he's already up this coming March. It's going to be his 20th anniversary that he's been doing this. Yep, 20 years of doing something. That's crazy. It just blows my mind. And of course, this is a really unique place, and we talk about it during during the whole interview. But I just wanted to set that up. First of all, let's put some context on who this person is. All right. First of all, this show is about learning and mastery, because I like to learn, and I have the belief that I can learn from anyone, be it a kid, be it a grandfather, and of course, if you want to really master anything, you go to the masters, in my belief. And Rod here is a master of poetry.
Thank you.
He is one of the pioneers in San Antonio poetry because, and we're going to be talking about this, he has the longest running weekly
open mic poetry
reading in South Texas.
Okay. Okay.
All right?
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes.
All right. So Rod, tell us, who is Rod Stryker?
Rod Stryker, well, that would be me. And I've been writing for over 30 years, poetry mostly. I've written some short stories, but my mainstay is poetry. I've been published in a number of literary magazines, and I've also had 2 books of my own published, books of poetry.
I think everyone would agree that it's a super accomplishment to get published, and it's awesome. But you're one of those people that, I guess inspire is a good word, but what is the word that I'm looking for? That you're, like when a newcomer comes in, you're not one of those published poets that look down on people. You encourage. Encouragement is a good word.
Yeah.
And he's one of the few people, you're one of the few people that really encourage newcomers, new writers. I'm a very good example. I went to, and this is my backstory on how I came to know Rod. I was writing a screenplay back in Barnes & Noble. You guys were at the Barnes & Noble at San Pedro and 410 here in San Antonio. I had no idea. All I knew about poetry was, to me, the associations that I had with poetry was girls, girly stuff. No offense, Jenny. But it was just like a girly thing to do. Because I had no idea.
Right.
Ignorance, all right?
It's all right.
So I was just like writing or researching something in Barnes & Noble. A very manly thing to do, by the way. And I was just sitting down, and then I was just overhearing, because Rod had an open mic that night at Barnes & Noble's. And I just overheard something about cancer, about something really personal about a woman's life, about a man's life, but it was so beautifully described that one, I was hooked by the content of it, and second, by the way it was presented. So it was like, to me, they were telling you an amazing story in and by itself, in a really intriguing and beautiful way. I was like, holy shit. What is this? It totally blew my... I had no clue. So, for like a year, maybe a little bit less. And Kevin, you don't know this, so this is really interesting. Right, Chris? I was just going to the poetry readings without introducing myself. I felt like Edward Norton in Fight Club. Just going to like the cancer meetings, and you just like drop in, hearing everyone else's problems and poetry. To me, it was like watching a novella just unfold in front of you, like a great book and great poetry. It's just really cool. And that's one of the things that got me triggered into writing my own stuff and my own poetry, and that's how so Rod is like my introduction into this stuff. That's how I really got into it. That's how I really appreciate it. And one of the things that Rod is really encouraging. Now, Rod, tell me, how the heck did you get into this kind of thing? And start from the beginning. Like, how did you get into poetry itself?
I was minding my own business, actually.
Right.
Just in one of my classes when I was a teenager, wasn't even thinking about poetry, and this one poem just popped in my head out of nowhere. 4 lines, all complete, out of nowhere.
And did you already know about poetry itself?
No.
Just...
No. The most I knew about it was...
How old were you?
I was about 15. The most I knew about it was what I had read in these old tomes, these textbooks of what poetry was supposed to be like, written by dead white guys many, many, many years ago,
right,
who knew nothing about what was going on today.
Right.
And so I had this impression that that's what poetry was. So at 15, these 4 lines just popped into my head out of nowhere.
Do you still remember them?
Yeah. It's called Forever Love. Forever will our love go on in all its special ways, and you will know I love you in all the coming days. That's what came out.
This was from a 15-year-old kid.
Old. Yeah. And
wow.
It hit me like a ton of bricks. I wrote it down, and then I promptly forgot about it. A year later, another 4 lines popped into my head, and I wrote that down. And then I wrote like 4 lines in between it, so that it was 3 stanzas. And it came to me that perhaps there's something to this. And that's when I decided to see where it would take me.
Huh.
And I have been writing ever since.
Wow.
Ever since. Over 30 years.
Dude, great story. So, I mean, you got into poetry like that, but how did you get started with the open mic, 20 years ago? And the anniversary is when?
It's March 2015. We're going to have our 20th anniversary. I'm really, really excited about it, but it started...
Take us back 20 years ago.
Little tiny coffee house called Cafe Gia.
All right.
And it was off of San Pedro at the time. It's no longer there, but the owner of the establishment, a coffee house, came to me and asked if I wouldn't mind taking over an open mic poetry reading.
That was already going on.
That was already going on.
And you already went to you knew about it.
I knew of it, and she asked if I would take over. And I said, okay.
Did you do open mics before that?
I had helped out.
Okay.
Other open mics. I actually didn't start any or be involved in them for a long time. Just, here and there.
And did you go more for the poetry or the girls?
More for the poetry, actually.
It's okay.
I understand. I wasn't married. Actually, I was real angsty back then. I was one of the tortured poets kind of thing.
Poet.
it was.
Did you torture us with your poetry, or you were already tortured yourself?
I'd have to say both.
Okay. Just joking.
Both. No, it's all right. And so, for me, it was a way to get out some of the anger, frustrations, daily stuff that went on. And
wow.
I loved going, I enjoyed it, and that's when the owner, her name was Brooke Mazzella, she approached me, she said, would you be interested in taking over an open mic poetry reading?
Huh.
And I said, sure, why not? She says, okay, it's going to be weekly. I said, that's fine. She said, okay, so now what do you want to call it? And at the time, I was publishing a little literary magazine called the Sun Poetic Times.
Wow.
And it had been about a year, 2 years that it was going.
Was this in print?
It was in print. and I would pass it out at the different poetry readings that were happening around town.
Wow.
And I said, well...
and kids, this is like, people would actually print stuff.
Yes.
No blogs.
No.
No Facebook.
This
no
is
Twitter.
printed hard copy material. Yes.
I mean, this is mind-blowing to people. It's just like, what?
Yeah, I sometimes blow my own mind, but thinking about it. But no, I was running this publication. I was publishing people's work, both visual as well as written work.
Wow.
And I decided to call it the Sun Poet Society. And that's what I told her. And we ran the Sun Poet Society there for almost a year, and then it closed down. And then we moved it to another place, and then it closed down. And then we kept moving it. We got a really, really bad reputation of closing places down. For 4 years, we were closing places down like crazy.
Wow.
5 years. And then we came upon Barnes & Noble. And I asked them if they wouldn't mind.
This one is at the San Pedro and
Loop 410.
Loop 410.
Yes. San Pedro, Loop 410, Barnes & Noble. I asked the community relations manager at the time if it would be okay if we had a reading, and she said yes. She was one of those old kind of hippies, and she just welcomed us with open arms. And we had been there for 14 years.
Wow. Wow.
14 years they had us there.
And that's that's where us as asteroids collided, right?
Exactly. Big asteroids.
Dude, what do you call them big?
Anyway, no, you're not. I'm just kidding. And we've been there for 14 years, and unfortunately, the owners decided that they didn't want us to be there weekly anymore.
Boo.
Yeah, that's okay, because we came to Almost, here at Almost Pharmacy.
Dude, this is a really beautiful, this is my first time, not here. I mean, I've actually performed here before.
Excellent.
But it's my first time seeing the open mic, and it's just really, it's actually like, this is the place for us.
I agree.
I was going to say for y'all, but no.
For us, for the Sun Poets. And we're quite happy with this establishment. They've welcomed us with open arms.
It's awesome.
They treat us wonderfully. I have nothing but good things to say about Almost Pharmacy, letting us in every Wednesday night from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And it's just phenomenal. We love it here.
You're also a veteran.
Yes.
Of the Air Force?
I was in the U.S. Air Force for 7 years, 8 if you count the inactive reserve. I was also a Gulf War veteran as well.
And this is really cool because talking about learning and mastery, I'm always really interested in how people overcome their emotions, especially if they're disempowering emotions, sadness, anger. You said you alluded to the fact that you had a lot of anger in yourself. So when disappointment comes, when rejection comes, when shit happens, how do you get over that?
Honestly, the poetry has always helped. As long as I could remember, whenever I was in a bad way, trying to express what I feel, it's been really difficult because I was raised to keep quiet, to not say anything, to go and do something else, to distract yourself from what you're really feeling. And poetry gave me an outlet, a way to put down on paper and to express what I'm really feeling, what emotions are going through my head, my body.
Right.
If not for poetry, I can say this unabashedly, if not for poetry, I don't know if I would be here today. Literally, I don't know.
Heavy statement, man.
It's the truth. I can honestly say without poetry, I don't think I would have had the coping mechanisms necessary to get me through the crap that I have been through. Brought on by not just myself, but others as well.
Especially in the military where you're taught, to not display your emotions.
Exactly,
right?
yes.
Stoic,
to not let emotions be displayed, and to always do what you're told without question. No matter what you feel and what you think, doesn't matter. You have to do what you're told without and always, every single time, or you get in some serious hot water.
Yeah.
So for me, poetry was a way to get those emotions out that were boiling and bottled up And I can say that. Yes, I can say, if not for poetry, I don't know if I'd be here today.
All right, and maybe somebody is watching this or listening to this, and they have anger inside of them, they have sadness, and they might be a veteran. They might have some serious problems going on at home, at school, whatever.
Put pen to paper.
Well, hang on. I mean, that's easy for us to say, but I mean, what would you say to somebody? Like, how does that happen, I guess is my question. What is poetry? Not what is poetry, but what is poetry in your opinion, and how does somebody do that? How does somebody like that has a lot of shit going on in their life and says, wow, this guy overcame his emotions by poetry?
It has
how
to
do
do,
you do it?
it has to do with how much do you want to get that out in a constructive manner. How much do you want to put down either on paper or through drawings or through some type of artistic endeavor? How do you want to do it so that you get all of that anger, fear, sadness, depression, which is what I had as well and still have? How do you get all of that out? What is the best way to do that for myself, for yourself? And however that is done, in whatever fashion that is done, should be something that is unique to yourself. Don't do it just because everybody else is doing it. Do it because it's what makes you content and have the ability to get it out so that you yourself, unique among anything else, are able to express those emotions that only you have, as unique as you are. That's the best way I could put it. And for me, it was poetry. Poetry was the best way, and still is the best way, and will be till the day I die, the best way for me to get out what I feel.
That's beautiful, man. So somebody asks, like, how do I do that? How do I start writing poetry? Or what do you tell people when...
Study, if it helps you, study those who came before, how they express themselves. There are different movements, different literary movements, if you want, or you could just pick up contemporary poets.
Okay. If, let's say a guy says, well, what do I do? Where do I go? Search Google, go to Barnes & Noble, and search for what?
Go to Barnes & Noble, look under the poetry sections, look for contemporary writers like Trinidad Sanchez Jr.
Sanchez Jr.
Like Naomi Shihab Nye, or others, perhaps in some town that you live in, some city that you live in, some of the famous writers and poets and artists in your towns that you have heard of, that you have at least some understanding of what work they have written. Go to them or go to the bookstores and see if they carry those. If not, find out if there's work available of theirs online. Whatever it takes, immerse yourself in what others are saying, how they're saying it. Perhaps you might identify better with one or two of the poets or writers.
You could also suggest someone to go to an open mic.
Yes, go to an open mic if there's one in your town. Look for one close to your town, close to your city.
Searching.
Exactly, Google. Because of Google, we've had a lot of people come to our readings. They found our readings online.
Stephen is from Little Rock, Arkansas.
Right.
Came tonight.
Different people come, different walks of life, and we're so happy to hear what they have to say. Each person is unique, and some people, like you, take a while. They come to the reading and they have to sit for a while before they feel confident enough to actually express how they feel, and that's okay. The more that you listen, the more that you can understand that we're just like you. We're just like all of you. It's important that you find an outlet, a way. Even if you never say anything, even if you never actually get up on that mic, listen. It is so, so important that you listen, because you can also feel what other people are feeling and share that.
Right.
Share what they are going through, and perhaps even connect with them. That you can say to yourself, she or he understands what it is I'm going through, what I'm feeling. They can identify with what's going on in me. I've seen that countless times in the almost 20 years that I've had the Sun Poet Society. Countless times. And I have people actually come to me and say, poetry saved my life.
Wow. Wow.
Because of what you said or what she said or what he said. Too
Huh.
many people have come to me to say that. That's why I keep doing it. That's why I keep going.
That's why you keep coming.
Exactly.
Rod, finally, how can people find the Sun Poets? How can people connect with you?
We are
Through the
online on
internet?
Facebook.
How do you?
Facebook.com/Sun Poet Society.
I can just search Sun Poets, I think. If you
Yeah,
go
Sun
to
Poet Society,
Facebook.
and we'll come up with Facebook. And you can also look me up, Rod Carlos Stryker.
You're on Twitter, Facebook, or
On Facebook. I also have my my blog, WordPress.
what is the blog?
rodcarlosstryker.wordpress.com. And we also have advertisements on my WordPress for the Sun Poets as well. We're here at Almost Pharmacy, 3902 McCullough Avenue, San Antonio, Texas, every Wednesday night, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. All are welcome. We want you to come. We want to hear what you have to say.
All right, just really quick, some really quick questions. What is the best lesson that you've learned from life?
The best lesson? Listen. Listen, and then listen some more before you speak. And then when you've listened even more, then speak. Then say what's in your heart, what's on your mind. And don't let anyone keep you from saying what you want to say, from expressing yourself. That's one thing I've learned. Let no one get in your way in saying what you have to say. It's important what you have to say.
Beautiful, man. Another quick question. What does courage mean to you?
Courage means getting up in front of that mic, standing there, and basically, euphemistically saying, what do you think? That's courage.
Of your poem or whatever.
Of what you're saying, whether it's a poem or whatever. That's courage. People think that, oh, anybody can do that. No. Not anybody can. For some, it's terror.
Right.
It's horror. But they overcome that, and they get up there, and they bare their souls. That is courage. Bearing one's soul.
Another quick question. What does success mean to you?
Success means, for me, being happy with whatever it is that you're doing. Whatever that is that you're doing. That's success. Digging ditches. Writing poetry.
Did you say digging ditches?
Digging ditches.
Okay, I thought.
Digging ditches.
Like, really?
Digging ditches.
To each his own.
Writing poetry, being the executive, whatever. Being president. Whatever individually you love to do, that's success.
Beautiful, man. What is the thing that you've been most grateful for recently?
My friends, my family, the Sun Poets, my wife, for being very patient with this sometimes moody poet. And I love her very much.
Beautiful. Well, Rod, thank you very much, man. I really
Thank you.
appreciate you taking the time, not only to be on the show and impart some really important lessons about life and love, but also, for taking the time every single week. Every single week, I struggle just to put an appointment somewhere, because that means I have to be somewhere. This guy puts in an appointment every week.
Every week.
To be here.
Yep.
It's beautiful, man, because I love being inspired. I just absolutely love coming here. And it's probably the only open mic poetry thing where they don't do this. Fucking hate that. I don't know why it irritates me. It's cool if you do it. I know. It has to be diplomatic, in my humble opinion.
I do ask my audience to clap.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. And it's important to encourage them. Nurturing, encouraging environment. That's what's important.
All right. So Rod says, don't do this.
Don't do that.
Rod, thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey.
Hey, one more thing.
Yeah.
Why don't you do a poem from your book or something? Do you have a book?
Yeah, I can do that.
Right? Would it be complete if he doesn't do a poem?
This is from my book, Lucid Affairs. If you'd like to get a copy, it's available online.
It is?
Yes,
cool.
it is. So,
and we're online on your blog. If people go to your blog,
yes,
it'll be there. Okay.
Yes.
Good. So this is a poem from his book.
Okay. Actually, let's go for a funny one. There we go.
Funny.
It's called DJ Wash, combination dance club and washateria. Spinning and dancing while shirts and panties tumble in dryers, mixed drinks and laundry detergent exchange hands as breakbeats pound the folding tables. Dancers wave dryer sheets in tandem. Women in fishnet move and swing leather-clad hips atop industrial steel washers as strobe lights flash across the only place in town where you can sweat through your clubwear and get them clean at the same time. It's DJ Wash. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Rod, again, thank you very much,
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Love you, man. Wasn't that amazing? Yep. So, if you're ever in town, if you're ever in San Antonio, chalk that up as one of the other places or things to do in San Antonio whenever you're in town visiting, or if you live there, please go to one of these open mics. They are just spectacular. The level of performances there, the level of people that you'll meet is just astounding. I've made really good friends, and that brings me to episode 3 of the Anti-Show. We're going to be interviewing Chris Billings, one of my favorite poets, another favorite poet, also from San Antonio, who also participates in the not only participates but also hosts the open mic at the Pharmacy in San Antonio, Texas, and is part of the Sun Poets Society. And this is not a closed society; it's open to all. So if you're in town, please do not forget to visit. All right, and that will be episode 3. So hasta luego. This is the Anti-Show. Subscribe, all right.